Alright, I'm going to get started today pulling out the steering box off the 92 Jeep Wrangler chassis. Alright, as you can see, I've got the steering box, sway bar, and the steering box mounting bracket all removed from the frame. There they are right there. I left the steering box mounting bracket attached to the sway bar for right now. I mean, I'm keeping all that as spares for my Jeep as well as the steering box, so why not just leave it together for now? That way I won't lose anything. I'm going to see if I can persuade the front axle to come out from underneath the Jeep frame today, and may or may not get to the rear axle today, but I'm at least going to try to finish removing this front axle. I'm going to leave leaf springs and everything hooked up to it and just pull it all out in one piece. I got both the shocks out with no hassle whatsoever. There they are right there. Definitely won't be reusing them, but I expected them to give me a little trouble coming out, but they didn't. There's all the tools I used. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the leaf springs a little bit, and maybe go ahead and remove that track bar real quick, and then I'll get the tires and wheels back on it and go ahead and remove the bolts holding the leaf springs on, so I can just roll it out in one assembly. But sounds easier than it probably will be, but who knows? I thought the shocks were going to be a problem and they weren't, so maybe the rest will go smooth too. Well, I almost had a bit of trouble. I couldn't find my T55 Torx bit. Needed it to get this bolt out for the track bar. Luckily I found it though, because it was just 13/16 wrench, T55 torque bit, and my crappy Craftsman impact wrench. And as you can see, bolt came right out. Of course, I've had it soaked in PB Blaster for a couple weeks. Come out and hit all these bolts every once in a while before I started this project, and makes life a whole lot easier. Alright, since I already got that bolt out for the track bar, I'm going to go ahead and see how easy it comes out of its bracket here. You know, the camera's not the best in the world. Maybe that'll work. Maybe I won't knock it to the ground. Oh yeah. Being soaked in oil does help. Just remove that little piece and then it just drops right down through the bottom. That wasn't too bad, was it? Now to get those leaf springs off, and we'll be ready to pull this whole front axle assembly out from under this YJ. I got all of the leaf spring mounting bolts loosened up. Like I said, I figured I was going to have problems with all this stuff, and soaking it in oil for the past couple weeks has just made a huge difference in how everything comes apart. Not having any problems whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and throw the wheels and tires back on. Go ahead and put these Rubicon wheels, 16x8s with 265/75 R16 load range D BF Goodrich all-terrains. Put them back on here. Of course, those are the wheels and tires that were on my 91 before I put the stock springs back on. They just won't fit now. But they'll be going back on sometime this summer. So let's get this axle the rest of the way out. Well, wheels and tires are back on, and it's sitting back on the ground. I went ahead and put a few tie straps around the steering to hold everything up out of my way. It's gonna sit all together for a little while. But there it is. Now I just gotta finish pulling these bolts out of the leaf springs and jack the frame up and just roll the whole thing out from under it. Which is kind of funny. See if my camera will work up here, but it may work. Stay camera. But this is why you need shock absorbers. If you don't have shock absorbers, you'll have one bouncy ride. Alright, it's free at last. All the bolts came out, no problem at all. Shackles are already loose from the frame. Those bushings weren't that bad. I don't know if you can see it. Darn sunlight's working against me. Let's see. Will it focus? Nope. Alright, there it is. Dana-30 front axle assembly. Leaf springs and everything. Steering and all. Finally, out from underneath the 1992 Jeep Wrangler YJ chassis. That's pretty much all I'm going to do for today. I've got a few things to do tomorrow, so I won't be able to mess around much with this chassis. So if I don't get to it tomorrow, I'll do it sometime this coming weekend. Go ahead and get this rear axle and everything out, along with all the fuel lines and brake lines and whatnot. But there it is. Finally.